So this papaya is a glimpse into the future of 3D printing. Let me explain. It's not often that you can describe a 3D printer as revolutionary, but the HeyGears G1X is nothing short of that. Because it's not just one printer, it's 3 printers in one. It's a 2D UV printer, so it can print full color images onto hundreds of different surfaces. It's a 3D texture printer, so it can lay down raised tactile relief up to 5 mm high, and it's a full color 3D printer, which means it prints finished colored objects straight off the bed, all in one desktop machine. I want to be clear why that is a big deal, because full color 3D printers do already exist, but they're industrial. They cost as much as a house. No one has yet been able to make one of these machines and put it on a desktop at a price that people could reasonably afford. Over 10 million colors and layers that are 10 to 20 microns thick, which is like half as thick as a human hair. And it's driven by a proper industrial Epson i3200 printhead, which I'll come back to when you can actually see what it does. I'll also come back to the ink running costs later, so you've got the actual numbers. When I was offered a prototype of the unit to test and make content with, I was super excited to put it through its paces. Now I'll come back to the papaya because that's the best thing that I've printed on the printer so far. But I wanted to show you something a bit simpler to show you the whole work process of how you can color and print a 3D object. So I started with this burger. One of the big questions I had was, where do colored models actually come from? Because at the moment, most printable files don't include any color information at all. They're just shape, just geometry. And that's a genuine friction point. So let me be honest about it up front. If you buy this printer, most of the files you already own have no color data in them. Somebody has to put it there, and that somebody can be you. Now, HeyGears have a few answers to this in their built-in ecosystem. There's the HeyGears library, which is a big collection of models that already come with color ready to print. There's over 200 models available already. But on launch, there's going to be over 500 models, with over 2/3 of them being full color 3D prints. There's a coloring tool for taking a plain monochrome model and adding color to it. And there's a one-click AI generation option too, if that's your thing. It's not how I work, but it's there for people who want it. Me, I wanted to do it by hand, so the route I went was with an iPad app. I imported the burger STL and then I painted directly onto the model. Not very expertly, I'll be honest, but that's the point. I'm choosing these colors, I'm coloring the bun, the lettuce, the cheese, the patty, exactly as I would with a paintbrush. Then I export the whole thing as an OBJ file, which carries the color data along with the shape. From there, I imported the painted OBJ into Blueprint Studio, which is HeyGears' own slicing and printing software. And here, the first genuine clever thing, rather than the spindly little supports that you get on a resin print, Blueprint Studio builds a bubble around the model. The whole thing gets encased in support material, which sounds like more work, not less, but stick with me because it does pay off. Slice it and send it to the printer and wait. While that's printing, let me explain to you how UV printers actually work, because it's probably different to anything else you've ever used before. Your standard printer, an FDM machine, works a bit like a very precise hot glue gun. It melts plastic and builds up layer by layer, going up through the model and creating your shape. You can do multicolor on these, but you're limited to the colors of filament you own. Every color change means swapping material and purging the old color out of the nozzle, which throws away a shocking amount of plastic. And you get layer lines, always. You can see them and you can feel them. Then you've got resin printers, which is where most of us in the miniature world live. These use a tank of liquid resin that hardens when UV light hits it. A light underneath the resin vat lights up in a very precise pattern, and they build up in a very incredibly small layer at a time. The detail is incredible, far better than FDM, but you get one color, whatever the color of the resin is. And then there's the post-processing, which anyone who's done it will tell you is genuinely miserable. You have to wash it in IPA, cure it, snap off the supports, sand the knobs, and hope you haven't ruined any of the detail in the process. Now here's the G1X, and it is a completely different thing entirely. It's a UV printer. Think of a really, really good inkjet printer. It sprays microscopic droplets of ink, and the instant those droplets land, a UV light cures them solid. Not melted plastic, not a tank of resin, just ink, cured on contact. Do that once and you've printed a picture. Do it thousands of times, stacking those cured layers on top of each other, and you've printed an object. But here's the thing, not every UV printer can do full color 3D printing like this one. For that, you need the right printable materials, really precise control over each layer, the support material, and clever software that can turn a 3D model into layer by layer color, shape, and material data all at once. That's what makes full color 3D printing a good bit more complex than just standard UV printing. And it's the bit that the G1X has cracked. The colors built into it, mixed in real time, droplet by droplet, as the object forms. That's how you get over 10 million colors instead of a handful of filament spools in your drawer. And because those droplets are so small, and the layers are about half human hair thick, there's no layer lines to speak of, it's pixel perfect. And now there is a trade-off, I'd rather be the one to tell you. Jetted cured ink is not the same material as solid resin. It's a different beast. So think about what you print with this, because you do have to be careful with how you handle it. And there's one more thing that UV printing makes possible, which brings us back to the bubble. The print's finished, and this is what comes off the bed. Not a model, a lump. The burger's in there somewhere, buried in support material, but that support material is water soluble, so there's no snapping, no sanding, no IPA, no clippers, no ruined details. You just pop the whole bubble into a wash station full of water, set it going on a low setting, and leave it. Now, on my prototype, it takes a few hours, but the production version is expected to take roughly half that, down to around 3 hours. And there's an alkali soluble support option that brings it right down to something like 15 to 30 minutes. And either way, the key thing is that you're not doing anything during that time. No clippers, no sanding, no swearing it snaps off fingers. You go have your tea and the machine does it for you. And here it is, my burger, painted by me on an iPad, printed in full color, washed clean, no brush involved at any point. Now, I'll be straight with you, taking a file and getting it through the pipeline on the prototype unit is still being worked on by HeyGears. The software isn't perfect yet. The workflow from a hand-painted file to a flawless print isn't quite there yet, but HeyGears know, they're on it, they're sorting it out. I've been having updates on the prototype machine as I've been testing it, and each time it's getting better and better and better. So yeah, by the time the production units are ready, I expect them to fully tighten this up, but the workflow is real. This is what this proves. We can see a model that we've painted digitally, printed out in full color. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it'll happen. When these units are in your hands, they'll be able to print a full color model, you know, it's amazing. And this is where that print head earns its keep. It's an industrial Epson i3-200, and the short version is it's indifferent lead to the entry-level heads you normally find at this end of the market. Something like 3 times the print speed, 3,200 nozzles against about 1,000 on a typical head. And that's what's giving you these resolutions and colors, not something that's coarse and banded. It's perfect. And that's the honest picture of where this machine is right now. It's an amazing printer. Getting your pieces of work up to the level that it's capable of is still being worked on, but it will get there. So what does this say? We're getting a full colored 3D printed object straight off a machine on your desktop at a price which isn't industrial. That's never been done before. Now, before I get to miniatures, there is one thing that this printer can't do, which miniature painters are, they do enjoy, which is painting metallics. There's no metallic ink. So if you did want a metallic object, obviously you're either going to have to use non-metallic metal, digital painting, or you're going to have to whip out the metallic paint yourself and paint up the model afterwards. With that said, for wargaming miniatures, you could print off a full army, fully painted, don't have to do anything to them, on your desktop, with this machine. I still think, is this the end of painting? No, I still think painting is obviously going to be around, and it's a hobby that many, many people enjoy. So this is not a replacement. This is just an addition to. Then there's the texture printing. Raised reliefs up to 5mm, think bases, cobblestone, cracked earth, grimdark bases, printed straight onto a base with the color that's already in it. And it's a 2D UV printer too. So it'll print onto hundreds of different materials, acrylic, metal, leather, fabric, custom tokens, objective markers, terrain, box art, whatever you can think of. And I said, I'll come back to the ink. It's a UV ink system, and the refill bottles are 300ml. A single bottle during the crowdsourcing campaign is $35, with multicolor sets at a discount too. I'll put the full pricing in the description so you can weigh it up for yourself. One last note, the unit that I've been using is a prototype, as I said, so the production units will vary slightly when they come out, and there'll be a lot more dialed in. Whatever you make of the technology and how it will be used, it is remarkable. Ink that is jetted on at picoliters, cured by light into a solid, fully finished model. That's insane. I've got a lot more things coming soon, which I'll share in my shorts, a lot closer to my own wheelhouse. So stick around for those, and let me know in the comments if there's anything you'd like to see me print. Thanks very much. Bye.